William Shakespeare once said, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." This is Sarah Speaks. It's Sarah StrangeAndShort here. Today is actually my newest video for a series I just came out with. If you notice the title in The Difference in Room, you can probably tell that something's up. I am starting a new chapter in my Sarah StrangeAndShort life. And in this chapter, I'm going to be talking about world issues, things that are going on at home, things that are going on with me, things that are just going on all over the place, both personal and worldwide, because this is such a huge, wonderful world we live in, despite all the terrible things that happen. And I want to know possibly everything I can that is going on. There's so much to see, to do, to learn, and we are always finding new things because we as humans are super inquisitive, including myself. So today I'm going to be talking about an article I read from ABC as well as Cornell University about sexual orientation in relation to pupil dilation. Now, before we get into that, I know for a starter, for the first video of the first new series, this can be a heavy topic discussing sexual orientation. However, this is purely scientific based, and I do not want any hate comments in regards to anyone for their sexual orientation. It will not be allowed. This includes people speaking both legally and religiously. I don't care what your God thinks or your government. We are talking about the scientific community, which should be free of laws and government and religion. So, let's give everybody a break and jump into the news and into the science. I first stumbled across this article on ABC's website. The title is "Think You Are Gay? It Shows in Your Eyes According to Study." Now, this is an extremely condensed version of the actual summary of the science that was done. This article isn't even 2.5 pages printed. If you were to actually look at the study released by Cornell University, if we ignore the acknowledgments because it just refers to the people, which the people and the references are awesome. Thank you, people, science community. Thank you so much. But if you're just wanting to read the content of this article, it's a little over 16 pages long. This is the real deal here. In order to assess the sexual orientation of their participants, they were shown, quote, 30-second videos showing either a naked male or female model masturbating. In total, 12 male stimuli and 12 female stimuli were selected from a large pool of videos drawn from sites on the internet, end quote. If someone wants me to make a really long video explaining all of this to you, I can. I just didn't want to explain this whole article because it's going to be a long, lengthy discussion, and I just wanted to summarize it for you guys. It is very well written and just a summary of the data for intellectual people to read. And when I say intellectual, if you have a 9th grade level of reading, you should be able to read this. It may get a little monotonous. It's not super riveting, but you'll be able to understand this. I read both of them. If you're interested in wondering how we can tell what a person's sexual orientation based on how their pupils dilate, read this. I love you, ABC, for introducing me to this awesome article. However, it is not accurate. I must apologize to the person who wrote this, Susan Donaldson James. Should you ever come across my humble little channel of beauty tips and tricks and now news, you should know that you miswrote. It's a little bit misleading. Now, the overall concept, you are spot on. Good job. Cornell University did say that sexual orientation can be determined by the way pupils are dilated. However, there is an area in your article in which you are incorrect, and I hope people look at the Cornell University article after reading this as opposed to taking what you say completely at face value. Now, here's what I'm going to address to you, Miss James. In your article, you claimed, quote, as a control, subjects were shown naked photos and videos of the gender they were not attracted to. Subjects were also shown, quote, boring, quote, videos of people talking about the weather. Now that's on the second page if you print that off. According to this article that I read, which was released by Cornell University, so this is the accurate article, they were not shown people talking about the weather. And allow me to flip to the page. They were, quote, 2 one-minute videos showing landscapes, end quote. Now the reason I'm being so nitpicky about this, to anyone who's wondering, or if you yourself, Miss James, are wondering, is there is a huge difference to telling people that they were looking at, quote, boring videos of people talking about the weather, end quote, and the actual stimuli they were looking at in order to neutralize the images. You cannot say that they were videos of people talking about the weather. And why that is important is because any intellectual person who's going to look at this from a scientific standpoint is going to wonder why, if we're analyzing their sexual orientation, why would we use for a neutral image someone talking about the weather? That would have to be someone, male or female. And if we're assessing their sexual orientation, we cannot use a sexual image, aka a human body. They were shown nature because nature is asexual. A tree is asexual. A plant is asexual, essentially. I know there are male and female different parts, but when was the last time you saw a tree as sexy? Exactly. I had to point that out. That is an important aspect of the study that you really need to think about. This paper from Cornell University, it is straightforward and it is very detailed. Everything from the camera they used, how long the stimuli was for, and then they calculated the dilations of each person's eye because the size of your pupil differs from person to person. They also talk about things that were out of their control, things that could alter their research, and some drawbacks. But it's not 100% conclusive, and they admit that. At the end it says, quote, "We emphasize that in the present study, sexual orientation differences in pupillary response were significant on average, and with effects that were moderate to strong in magnitude, but not perfect, using the guidelines suggested by Cohen." So this article basically says, hey, we have found a correlation on average to the way people's pupils dilate and their sexual orientation, which is amazing because now we can use this for all kinds of studies. We're going to take religion and government out of the situation and we're going to talk about science. Now this is a non-invasive way to study how people react sexually to certain stimuli, whereas before the males would have to wear a band around their penis and the females would have to wear some kind of device inserted into their vagina. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that because it's embarrassing, and some people can even control their sexual responses, whereas your pupils, that's an automatic response. That's like trying to control your heartbeat. You can't do it. You can't control your pupils. So that's a sincere way to test people, as well as a way that is non-invasive and not embarrassing, so that more participants can participate in further studies. Additionally, studies can be done on children to study their development as they age, and a way that you could study how children develop sexually without traumatizing them for putting some kind of device near their woo-woo. So, that's something really interesting. Tell me what you think. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. This is Sarah Strange and Short, and I hope you guys have a great day. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This is Sarah Speaks.